What are some of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make generally, and how many did you do?
Oh God, the list of mistakes I've made is too long to recount. Although I will say one thing is that I've certainly learned a lot more from my failures than I have from my successes. So, they're important, right? It's funny, you go into business and, back to what we were saying before, often, hey, I'm really good at making widgets. I'll start a business and make widgets. But often people miss a lot of the critical kind of steps along the way. One of the big ones I see out there is people go into business with, hey, Clive, you and I, we made widgets together. We work for the same company. We know each other. We're mates. We have beers. We get along pretty well and we have a laugh. Great. You know what? We should start our own business. We should go into business together. That sounds brilliant, especially after 2 beers. And off they charge, right? And people have the best of intentions, and that can be a pretty beautiful experience, and it may work wonderfully. Of course, things can also go the other way, right? And I think getting the foundations and the fundamentals right in any business is critical, because I see a lot of people at the other end where things haven't necessarily, I've seen things go absolutely horribly sour, and I can share some stories around that. But even where it's not gone sour, people grow apart after a while, Clive, you and I are different people. We have realised, we actually do have some slightly different interests. We're at maybe a different stage of life, whatever it might be. And now what you want from the business is now starting to look a little different from what I want from the business. So without clear and open communication to explore those and be empathetic to the other person's needs, that sort of little gap can turn into a yawning chasm and turn into the Grand Canyon eventually, right? And that's how things fall apart, and people can become quite hostile to each other in the end. And of course, once you're angry or hostile, you're never going to accomplish anything, are you? And that's when lawyers end up winning a lot of money and being involved, and they're the only ones who win in that situation, right? So my message to everyone is, if you start with the end in mind, at the risk of sounding repetitive, you guys should have a chat up front about, look, what do you want to get out of this business? What's important to you as a person? Like, okay, we both want to earn a basic amount of money. Of course, we need to pay our bills, but what do we want to get out of it over the longer term? And do we, what does exiting eventually look like? And, what are the things we should think about? You don't have to decide up front, hey, we're going to exit via a sale on this date in this year. Most people can't do that. But if you said, look, I imagine if we could build it up and it'd be worth something, that I'd be open to selling it one day. If the other person goes, I've always dreamed about handing it down to my kids. Well, okay, that's a fundamentally different process there, right? So it's not to even say you shouldn't be in business together. It's something you need to put on the table and be willing to talk about and explore and understand how those different options impact each other. And dare I say it, at the risk of sounding really boring here, maybe document some of that stuff and put it in a shareholders agreement between the two of you, so that you actually, if you're going down that journey and you do start to have differences of opinion, you actually have a mechanism to be able to discuss it and resolve it and make decisions. And without that kind of framework, that's just where you see a lot of people kind of really fall up and blow up and, let's be honest, deteriorate value, right? That's really what it comes down to.